morning we're going to talk about an article I found on NPR.org. Fair use. Trump extends TikTok sale by deadline again. Oh boy, TikTok fans are going to be anxious about this. What's going to come about that? Okay, let's go ahead and dive into the article. And fair use, NPR.org. Trump extends TikTok sale by deadline again. Okay, let's look into the article. President Trump has given TikTok yet another lifeline. The president on Friday granted the video app a 75-day extension, allowing the China-based company additional time to break away from Beijing. The White House's TikTok deal requires more work to ensure all necessary approvals are signed, Trump wrote on Truth Social. And at least they gave it, Trump had made it to where it's a 75-day extension. So for TikTok lovers, they got a 75-day extension. He said, going back to the article, he said the administration hopes to continue working in good faith with China, who I understand are not very happy about our reciprocal tariffs, referring to the 34% levy on China imports Trump announced this week. Negotiators had been expecting to announce a TikTok deal on Friday morning, but Chinese regulators threw a wrench into the process by telling ByteDance it would not be approving the agreement in response to Trump's stiff tariffs on Chinese imports, according to a source directly involved in the talks who was not authorized to speak publicly. Officials in Beijing are attempting to hold the deal hostage until China can extract some kind of concession, perhaps in the form of tariff relief, the person said. A second factor that complicated the plans was Trump's firing of a National Security Council official who was helping to coordinate the TikTok deal. A person involved in the talk said it was unclear if the president was aware the fired official was helping to broker the TikTok deal. ByteDance said in a statement that negotiation over TikTok's future in the U.S. will continue, but that there are key matters to be resolved, adding that any resolution requires approval by the Chinese government. The Friday announcement provides TikTok with a bit of breathing room in what has been a bumpy year. A federal law took effect in January that legally banned the app nationwide unless it split away from its Beijing-based owner, ByteDance. Congress passed the ban last year with overwhelming bipartisan support over national security fears that an app used more than half of Americans should not that an app used by more than half of Americans should not be controlled by a company in China. A foreign adversary of the U.S. TikTok fought the ban all the way to the Supreme Court, calling it a violation of free speech rights, which is true. But the High Court upheld the law. Starting the evening of January 18th, just before the ban was planned to take effect, the app went dark for 14 hours, but it flickered back on the next day after Trump promised to sign an order delaying enforcement of the ban once he was sworn into office. On Inauguration Day, Trump signed an executive order effectively pushing back the start of the ban by 75 days and promising immunity for other tech companies that provide back-end services for the app, such as Apple and Google, which host it when in their web stores. That extension was set to expire on April the 5th. A new order pushes it back by another 75 days. Legal experts say Trump's delay in the form of executive order run afoul a, of the federal TikTok ban law, which stipulates that certain conditions need to be met, like certifying that a divestiture from ByteDance is in motion. Before moving to pause the law's start date, in other words, it is still technically illegal for TikTok to operate in the U.S. since it remains under the control of a Chinese company. Yet moves by Trump and his administration assuring TikTok and its service providers that U.S. authorities would not prosecute anyone under the law have been enough for the popular app to stay online despite operating in violation of a federal statute. Since January, Trump has said there has been tremendous interest from potential buyers of TikTok, an app used by more than 170 million Americans and a remarkably valuable asset for anyone who might want to influence a whole generation of young internet users who flock to the service every day. NPR reported in January that cloud computing company Oracle has been tapped by the White House as a top contender to lead a coalition of other investors to acquire a sizable stake in TikTok's U.S. operation. Oracle is run by Larry Ellison, a billionaire Republican donor who has long been a close ally of Trump. During Trump's first term, when he attempted to ban TikTok, he selected Oracle to lead a takeover effort that collapsed in part because it could not win the support of regulators in China. Likewise, securing the approval of the Chinese government has been a key sticking point this time around, with TikTok insiders telling NPR that any sale blessing from Beijing could hinge on China landing some kind of relief from tariffs. Well, in my opinion, I think they should work a deal with China. TikTok is a good app. A lot of people like to use it. A lot of influencers and business owners. A lot of people use TikTok for business, for entertainment, social media. Socializing. So, but in the article, from what the article says, Trump gave it a 75-day extension. So they might be able to work out a deal with China. And America has been buying China products for a long time. They may be able to work something out. And and China does, most of their products are good. As far as the technology. So Trump, he might be able to work a deal out. And that's my commentary on the article. Trump extends TikTok sale by deadline again. So at least Trump is trying to work a deal out with it. And it is freedom, it affects freedom of speech, Um, okay, let's see what other articles on here. Oh, okay, the LA Dodgers bound the White House to celebrate World Series champion. Okay. Man, here's one article of interest right here. Popular brands of liquid eggs are recalled over bleach contamination concerns. Man, it's one thing that the price of eggs are going up, and then you hear about the liquid egg ban. I mean, the popular brands of liquid eggs, and they're recalled over bleach contamination concerns. They got right here. Let's go into the article. Breakfast eaters beware, thousands of pounds of liquid egg substitutes from two popular brands have been recalled over contamination concerns. The Michigan based company Cargill Kitchen Solutions is recalling some 212,268 pounds of products under the Egg Beaters and Bob Evans labels because they may contain a cleaning solution. Man. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Food Safety, and Inspection Service announces last week. It said that four kinds of liquid egg products were shipped for distribution in Ohio and Texas and for food service use in Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Illinois, and Iowa. Though that may not be an exhaustive list, there is a possibility that the products were distributed nationwide, it added. Cargill spokesperson Kristen Saunders told NPR on Friday that the company had no updates about the scope of the distribution. Cargill said in a statement that the products do not pose a health concern if consumed and had been recalled out of an abundance of caution. Well, at least they recalled some of it. FSIS said it had acted on a tip about the product's potential contamination with sodium hypochlorite, the active ingredient in bleach. Man, ingesting concentrated bleach products could lead to permanent gastrointestinal problems or even death, while lower concentration household bleach can cause irritation according to Poison Control. But FSIS says the health risks for consumers are relatively low. After conducting an investigation and thorough assessment of the contents of the cleaning solution, FSIS scientists concluded that the use of this product should not cause adverse health consequences or risk is negligible, resulting in a Class 3 recall, the agency said, adding that there have been no confirmed reports of adverse reactions. Even so, it warns shoppers not to consume the potentially contaminated products. Instead, authorities say they should throw them away or return them to the store. The recalled products, which were produced on March 12th and 13th, bear the establishment number G1804 on their cartons. Here is a full list, and then the article has a list of the recall. My goodness. You can view images of their labels here. Cargill has also set up a consumer hotline to address questions about the recall at 1-844-419-1574. The recall comes as many Americans are turning to egg substitutes due to rising egg prices and supermarket shortages. Avian flu and efforts to contain it have wiped out millions of birds since last year, making eggs an increasingly hot commodity. Several national retailers began limiting egg purchases earlier this year, while restaurant chains like Denny's and Waffle House added a surcharge on egg dishes. My goodness. You do better just getting you 2 chickens, if you're able. After hitting record highs in January, egg prices seem to be on their way down. The USDA reported in mid-March that the national average wholesale price of eggs, the cost that distributors charge retailers has steadily declined since February, down to $4.15 per dozen. While that may be welcome news, shoppers might not want to put all the eggs in their basket just yet, especially with President Trump's newest round of tariffs about to take effect. As economists told NPR last month, the speed at which grocery store prices change depends on several factors, from the state of bird flu to the level of consumer demand, which could see a brief bump this month for Easter and Passover. Okay, so if you purchase any of those liquid popular brands of liquid egg products, go ahead and you can go to npr.org and get the number, um, the telephone number for the hotline if you have questions, and also the establishment number. Look for G1804 on their cartons. It needs to be returned to the store. Yeah. Oh, okay. And let me see what else going on. Oh, okay. Okay, well, I guess that's all we're going to talk about tonight. And Pete, and make sure you check those egg cartons, those egg liquid products, and return them to the store. And also, Trump extended the deadline for 75 more days, and he's still trying to negotiate something with China, and hopefully he can. But China is sticking to the tariffs. They want those tariffs to go down. So hopefully something get worked out. And that concludes the news this evening. I may upload some other news. And peace and blessings. And you have a nice evening. And thanks for tuning in.